Hey, it's Matt C. joined with Ryan Reynolds from the new movie Definitely Maybe.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
Tell me a little bit about the movie. It's sort of a hard movie to describe in like a one-sentence blurb. So what's the premise?
Well, you know, I like to describe it as a romantic whodunit. Although it is obviously a comedy, but the premise is as follows: it's a man explaining to his daughter about his impending divorce, and she wants to know how I met Mom.
Right.
And you know, obviously, it's a very difficult thing. It's a minefield that most people try to never have to navigate. But I have to explain this to my daughter. And I say, well, look, I had 3 great loves of my life. I'm going to tell you the story of these 3 great loves. I'm going to change all the names and some of the facts, and you have to guess which one's your mom. So it becomes kind of this love story mystery game with her.
Right. Oddly enough, being released on Valentine's Day.
Yes, indeed.
Great date movie.
Fantastic.
I saw it. My wife absolutely flipped out over it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Great.
she loved it. So what do you consider the ideal date movie?
You know, for me, the ideal date movie is a movie that you can go to that both people walk away from having a blast. And,
right.
You know, I really do think that this movie is obviously a bit different than most romantic comedies. Most romantic comedies really geared towards women. I think this one is obviously told from a guy's perspective. So it's sort of, I feel like it hits both men and women in many different ways. Obviously, you know, when I read the script, I really felt like it was my life in a sense. Like I felt like I completely connected to everything this guy was going through. And obviously, you know, women are going to love the romance and the love story.
Well, you have 2 co-stars that kind of run the gamut of acting experience. You've got Abigail Breslin, who's been in a lot of movies of late.
Yes, a ton. Yeah.
But you know, she's young. She's what, like 9 maybe?
She
no?
was 10 when we shot. She's 11 years old now.
Right.
She
And then
won't
you
let you forget that.
Then you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
11 and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got Kevin Kline in the movie. So what did you learn from working with both of those actors? Is there a particular thing that you've learned from working with Abigail Breslin on the younger end and from Kevin Kline, who's been in the business forever?
Well, you know, Abigail is at an age where you know, you're just a perfect actor because she's so alive in every moment. I mean, she's just absolutely listening to everything that's happening. She has no agenda for the scene. And it's a great learning lesson. I mean, you see it and you kind of remember like, oh yeah, that's how I was when I was a much younger actor just starting out. And you're really your skills are actually more honed then than they ever need to be. Beyond that, it's incredible. And Kevin Kline, I learned a lot about Kevin Kline. One thing I learned about Kevin Kline is that he likes to walk around with his robe open. For me, I learned more than I needed to ever know about Mr. Kevin Kline. But I did see that Kevin is actually a true master at his craft. I mean, he's a guy that loves what he does, whether it's in stage, film, mime, doesn't matter. I mean, this guy just loves to perform. So
just gets completely into it.
He is so into it. And, you know, I think he's 60 years old or 59 years old and, like, has not lost a step. I mean, the funniest human being you'll ever meet in your life, and he just kills and steals this entire film.
I have to ask you because I was doing research on you, and if you go on those online bios, you never know what's true or not.
Yeah.
So there were 2 stories on there that I have to hear about.
Okay.
One that involved jumping out of a plane.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That one is true, yes.
What happened?
Well, when I was younger and around 19, I decided that it would be a good idea to get not just learn how to skydive, but get my skydiving license. I did 12 jumps, and then on my 13th jump, it was a pretty long free fall type jump. I jumped out, and my chute didn't open. It opened, but it opened the wrong way.
Right.
So it just put me into this crazy spin. You know, I saw not just my life flash before my eyes, but oddly enough, Kevin Kline's.
Right.
And I managed to muster up the moxie to pull my reserve. It opened, tremendous. I landed, and it gave me a lifetime fear of flying after that point. So I still have a lot of trouble getting on an airplane.
But you still fly, like you don't jump
I have
on a
to.
bus.
I'm not like John Madden.
Right.
No, I basically
the
have to
Outback
fly
bus
everywhere.
across the
Yeah,
country.
exactly. So no, it's also the road kind of dips a bit on your way to London. So you have to fly over that part.
And then the second story was about moving from Canada to L.A.
Yeah.
It said the first night that you were there, your truck was stolen, or your Jeep was stolen?
Yeah, actually, that is true. My first 2 hours in Los Angeles, my Jeep got stolen. Yeah, I pulled up in front of the seedy motel that I was staying at. I mean, I'm talking like really seedy. It was held together by like flea blood.
Pay by the hour.
The entire place was, it was nasty. I went in, I dropped my bags off, I came back out, and my Jeep was gone. And then I immediately ran back in because I was convinced my bags would be gone too.
Right.
But I did find my Jeep like 3 blocks away, I think, without any doors.
No doors?
Or a stereo or anything else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So stripped,
sucked.
Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
What did you do? Just drive it around?
I just drove it around, no doors. In
no
the middle of like El Nino, it was awful. Like every day a tsunami would blow right through my Jeep.
Wow, that probably take a good bit of perseverance not to just pack up and go home after the first 2 hours.
Yeah,
there.
but I mean, I wasn't going to drive my Jeep home because I live in Canada.
Right.
And you don't want to drive a Jeep with no doors there either.
Do you live in the States now?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So you have a home here in like LA or something?
Yeah, Los Angeles, yeah.
So are you involved in the election at all? Like, are you...
Well, as much as I can be. I mean, I think it's critically important to be as informed as possible. Look, I think that this election in particular is a true sea change in American politics. I think I followed this like I would follow anything. I mean, I'd follow the Super Bowl. I mean,
right.
And it feels like it's the Super Bowl every week. I mean, I've never been so attentive to it. I mean, I'm hitting refresh on my computer every 10 minutes just
Especially
to see if there's any new news. Yeah, Super Tuesday is huge. So, I mean, it's massive. I mean, I couldn't be more involved.
Well, let me ask you really quick, since we're talking about politics. Coming from Canada, how is the healthcare system there compared to here? Like, because you hear different sides. You'll hear somebody say, "Oh, yeah, they've got universal health care," but it's not the same.
Look, I think any kind of socialized health care is going to be a little bit better than people that are massive quantities of the population that's without health care. But I think the picture is painted a little bit through a little bit more rose-colored lens than is required. I think Canada has its own issues with it. And look, socialized medicine is not a perfect system. People need to remember that. Like, you go to an emergency room in Canada. Yes, it's paid for, but there's a greater likelihood that you're going to wait a lot longer than you necessarily would.
Well, sure.
Here. So there are trade-offs, But I think it's been painted in this really in this light that suggests that it's this like benevolent system that needs to be universal all over the world, and I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I have no segue for this, but how did you feel? I was reading your bio, and the first thing in there says, Ryan Reynolds, one of people's most sexiest men alive for 2007.
Wow, yeah.
When you got that call, how did it feel? I don't know how I would respond to that.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how to still don't know how to respond to that. You try to sort of slough it off with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you really try to find some creative way to work it into every conversation you ever have for the rest of your life.
Sure, like now.
Right now.
Exactly.
I was going to work it in. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, you probably have it in your back pocket, and you're like, oh, by the way,
yeah.
did you see
I dropped
this?
my issue of People. You know what sucks about that, though, is that no matter what you are, if you're not like the number one whatever head honcho, even if it's at pie making or something, everybody asks who's number one. So really, it's just a segue to talk about Matt Damon.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to talk about Matt Damon?
Who doesn't love Matt Damon?
Right. But he's Matt Damon, not indefinitely maybe.
No, he's definitely not indefinitely maybe.
No.
Definitely.
No, but definitely maybe is good.
Maybe.
And it's February 14th.
February 14th.
Valentine's Day. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds, thanks for hanging out.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's nice meeting you.
All right, nice
thanks
meeting
a
you
lot.
too.